So everyone can see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So the topic for today is understanding warm up and cool down physiology. So the purpose behind choosing this topic is, a lot of us are now getting into running. KDR Rise is helping a lot of new comers, and there are also some who have been around for some time. But we see that these two important phases of the activity are typically skipped. Uh, we see a lot of them doing so, and we wanted to emphasize the importance of these two phases. And what better than understanding why these two are required, um, to drive home the point of why we should be doing this. So that's the topic. Just to talk about myself, just so that we can assure you that it's coming from the right source. Like Nikhil said, I did complete my certified marathon trainers course from an institute called Exercise Science Academy, and it's accredited or recognized by the American College of Sports Medicine. So the purpose of doing that course was to know more about the science of running. Not that I wanted to take up coaching, but having been around for some time, when people start asking you questions, I guess it's one of the responsibilities that you, when whatever advice you are giving is from some study or understanding, and not just from random Google reads or things like that. So that was the purpose behind my certification. So that has helped me, and hopefully it will help you to understand why warm up and cool down are important. So we'll go through the presentation. At times it may be it may take you back to school days. You might see some diagrams which are maybe too scientific, but let's not get bogged down by that. It is there just to make you understand. So okay, so we'll start with the heart, because it's
just hold on. Huh? Mohammed Ismail Sheikh and Shashank, can you please shut down your video? Mohammed Sheikh and Shashank Ahire, can you please shut down your video? Deepak, please continue here.
Okay, so on the left you will see a diagram of the heart. It is basically to show how the blood flows. So like you all know, it's divided into two parts, the right and the left, and you will see the blue part, which is bringing all the deoxygenated blood from the body. So you have the two veins, that is the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. Superior bringing impure blood from the top part of the body, and the inferior from the bottom part. Comes into the right atrium through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle, and then it goes through the lungs, where it picks up oxygen, comes back through the left and right pulmonary veins into the atrium, the left atrium, and then from there into the left ventricle through the aorta into the body. So basically that's how the heart functions. And again, there is a simplified version right next to it showing how the blood flows. And the reason I want to explain this is because when we talk about the muscle, you will see that the arteries, they split up further into what you call as capillaries, and connect onto a muscle. And at the same time, the veins also split up into capillaries, which connect onto a muscle. And when you do when you exert, or when you stretch or flex your biceps or do any kind of activity, your muscle wants oxygen to generate energy. So in a process what is called as glycolysis. So blood is what brings that oxygen to the muscle, and then whatever is required for the glycolysis to generate energy is absorbed, and the rest is again taken by the veins back to the heart. So this is where the oxygen absorption happens. There are some more details shown actually here, and you will see sometimes a parameter in your Garmin or in your Apple Watch called as VO2 max. So this is what it is. Basically, it is the difference of the maximum oxygen that your muscle can absorb. So here you'll see out of 100 ml of blood, 20 ml is oxygen. There is some absorption that's going on, and in the return you see 14 ml, which means 6 ml of oxygen has been absorbed by the muscle. But anyway, that's a separate topic. But just to get an understanding, this is what happens at the muscle level. There is oxygen absorption. Okay. So some of the facts related to blood flow. When your body is at rest, only 15 to 20% of what your heart is pumping is what goes to the muscles. Everything else goes to the organs, the digestive system, your heart, the brain, the heart itself. The muscles around heart need blood for functioning. And on the contrary, exactly opposite, when you start exercise, your muscles get about 85 to 90% of what your heart is pumping. And that happens by the body diverting the blood away from, say, for example, your digestive system or your gastrointestinal tract, and it redirects it to the muscles, because at that moment, all the muscles that are at work are demanding for oxygen, and that's why the body mechanism does that. So like you see, there is a 4 to 5 times increase in the myocardial blood flow during exercise, whereas the blood flow to the brain is maintained at resting level. So the blood flow to the brain is not something that is redirected onto the heart, but the other organs, from the other organs, it redirects. Okay, so those are some facts to be kept in mind. So what is warm-up? So warm-up is, any activity or routine that you do that helps your body to be ready for the workload or the demand, of the sport that you're going to do, or exercise or running, any sport. Warm-up is a phase where you prepare your body for that. So what exactly happens during warm-up? How does it help? So like it increases the body core temperature, which also increases the body's muscle temperature. So when you warm up, once the blood starts flowing, the body core temperature increases and also the muscle temperature increases. So by doing so, they get more loose, become more flexible, thereby reducing any risk of injury. So it is extremely important that your muscles are warmed up, your core is warmed up, so that they are not very prone to injury. Okay. Like we saw before, blood is redirected from the gut to your working muscle tissues. So muscles of your legs, quads, glutes, your core muscles, your arms, it gets redirected. Once the body temperature increases, also the blood vessels dilate, so they expand, which helps to increase the blood flow. While you're at rest, your blood vessels, contract, because there is not as much of blood flow required. But once you warm up, your blood vessels expand. So when you do the activity, your blood vessels are in an expanded or a dilated state. So it'll help the additional demand of blood flow. It increases the warm-up, increases the cardiac output. Cardiac output is the output from your heart for each cycle, each pump of your heart. More blood flows, the ventilation increases, oxygen exchange increases, and like we saw before, the elasticity of the muscles and the connective tissues, they increase. Another important thing is the in our joints we have what is called as the synovial fluid, which keeps the joint lubricated. So the viscosity reduces, so it starts spreading better and helps in lubrication of the joint. Okay, and lastly, your overall sensory and motor reactions, the speed at which the impulses are being carried increases, because you can imagine if you compare to walking, when you're running, you want faster responses of your sensory and motor neuron system. So that's what happens. So this is what happens during warm-up. So typically the question would be, okay, what should we be doing for like to warm up? So one of the most important thing is warm up needs to have dynamic repetitions. You need to have repetitive motions, of your muscles. So you start from your neck and work all the way down to your feet. Think of each of the joint and each of the muscle group, and you do repetitions. So while we will not be covering what motion for each of the joint or muscle, but I can name a few. Like you can start with your neck rotation, both ways, so clockwise and anti-clockwise. You can do up down motions of your neck, sideways motions of your neck, again repetitions. Then you can come down to your shoulder joints, rotation of your arms, again in clockwise and anti-clockwise direction. You can come down to the waist rotation, then all the way down to your feet and ankles. And then once you are done all that, you can finish it with a spot jog for 20-30 seconds, and that's your warm-up done. What is important to remember, and this would happen more when you do like timed events than your daily runs, because in a daily run or your daily activity, you are more in control of how you will do the activity. So you can warm up and start your activity. But in a run, when you reach there, when you reach the holding area, typically you see people start warming up too early, and then they are all warmed up, and then there is quite a bit of time between the warm-up completion and the activity to start, and then the body starts to cool down again. So it's important that you time your warm-up such that if just a few minutes before your activity starts you are done, or if you're done a bit early, then you keep moving, keep jogging now and then, so that you don't let your body core temperature go down, don't let your body cool down. So that's what you do for the warm-up. Okay, so warm-up is, if I want to reiterate, warm-up is dynamic, which means you will be doing motions in repetitions. So for example, butt kicks or high knees or jumping jacks, these are some kind of repetitive motions. Or like I said earlier, neck rotation, ankle rotation, waist rotation, rotation of arms. So from warm up, we'll move down slowly. We'll move down to cool down, which is something that you do after your activity is complete. So if we talk about cool down, it is the activity to gradually return your body to the normal state by engaging in lesser strenuous activities. and not immediately stopping from a, you finish your run and then you just go and sit, or you just have your breakfast. That is an absolute no-no. So you need to do your stretches, and how the cool down stretches will help is what we'll see now. So the purpose is to gradually bring down the heart rate, the blood pressure, and the respiratory rate to normal, which would have increased during the activity. It allows to maintain the venous return. What the venous return means is when once your muscles have taken the required oxygen, when they contract is how the blood returns to the heart, because the heart needs the blood to come back for it to pump it again. So if you stop abruptly, then the mechanism of returning the blood back to the heart, does not work very well. So it may cause problems. That's one of the reasons you might have heard of many of the issues that people face after the event. After the finish, somebody collapses. There are a lot of cases which could be related to this. Not saying that every time you do this you will have a problem, but whatever problems have been experienced, the correlation to a certain extent could be done to this, abrupt stopping. So that is important. It also helps to avoid blood pooling. So if you don't cool down, then blood starts to pool in certain areas that might cause, dizziness or irregular rhythm of your heart beating. It also helps to remove lactic acid from your muscle tissue. So lactic acid is something that builds up in your muscles when carbohydrates or fats are burnt to derive energy. Once you must have seen in your Garmin, it says aerobic, it sometimes says anaerobic. So anaerobic glycolysis is the conversion of carbohydrates or fat into energy in absence of oxygen, which happens in your later part of your activity, where your carbohydrate store has exhausted, and now the demand of oxygen is so much that you cannot provide enough oxygen for the glycolysis. So that's when lactic acid starts to develop. How you know about lactic acid buildup is you feel that burning sensation in your muscles. Sometimes if you're standing in a train, and if you're holding the handle above, after some time you will feel your arm muscles burning. Then you have to let go, and then you change your hand. Sometimes the same happens when you're carrying a bag. Maybe you've gone into the market and you bought something, and you have handful of whatever you have bought, and then over time you feel that your hand arm muscles are burning. Then you change your hand. So that's what lactic acid buildup is. So cool down helps to remove that from your muscle tissue, and it helps to remove the waste products, and it helps a better and faster recovery. And finally, when you do stretching along with it, it elongates your connective tissues, and then it gives you the actual benefit of the exercise that you have done. So it will increase your mobility, will increase your range of motion of that joint. So those are the things that cool down helps you. So let's see what do we do in a cool down. So if you have been walking, so say you are a new runner, a very new runner. So you would typically start with a brisk walk. You won't start immediately running. So first you'll be walking, and then gradually you'll moving over to walking with a bit of jog, and then you will reduce slowly the time of jog, increase slowly the time, reduce slowly the time of walking, increase slowly the time of jogging, and then eventually you will be jogging more and walking in between jogs, and then finally you will be at a state where you can jog continuously, maybe for a longer time, and then eventually jog continuously. So whatever is the activity you're doing, do a lighter version of the same for some time. Okay, that should be your first thing after you stop or you finish your activity. So if you're running, keep jogging for a while, and then after the jog, get into brisk walk, and then after brisk walk, start walking slowly, and then slowly end. You can stop. Once you have done that, then you get into static stretching. So this is exact opposite of what we did during warm up. Warm up we did dynamic activities. Now you do static. So when we say static stretching, it will be stretching your muscle and holding. So for example, again, if we talk about the neck, then you start with looking up and holding, trying to stretch as much as possible, and continue to look up for a count of 10, 15 or 20 seconds. Then you look down so that your muscles at the back get stretched, and you can even use your hand to give it a slight stretch, and then hold it for 15, 20, 30 seconds. Then you go to the sides. Again, the same thing. Stretch your neck to the side and hold it. Again, the opposite side. So the exact routine that we did for warm up, like through going from top to bottom, but this time it will not be repetitions. It will not be dynamic. It will be static, which means you stretch and hold. One of the important things that you need to focus on while you are stretching is breathing. And you should be breathing very normally. Sometimes when people stretch, I have seen people hold their breath, which is very normal, but we need to focus that we don't hold our breath and we keep on breathing. And the important thing is exhale on exertion. So if you are stretching, then you increase the stretch when you exhale. So say, for example, if you are if we are doing a hamstring stretch, so you will be bending, and the idea is you keep increasing the stretch so that you feel the stretch more and more. So when you exert, you should be exhaling. So when you are exhaling, you should exert, so that during the next inhale, you get oxygen again, it reaches the muscle and it helps to stretch. And then once your cool down is complete, once your stretch routine has completed, then you keep on hydrating. And then also throughout the day, you keep hydrating. It's very important for recovery. I was going through some of the questions, relating to fatigue, increasing stamina, and the warm up and cool down are very important phases that you should do, and also hydration, that will help you to develop these things. So that's all I had as far as the presentation goes. The forum is now open for questions. So if you have any questions, or if you want me to reiterate anything or go through something again, then I can do so.
Thank you, Deepak. Very informative presentation, and we just believe things that we see, but there are a lot of scientific things that goes inside our body, and it's really nice to learn about that. I think as a people who are on this call, they really observe things that are changing in their body when they do their warm up and cool down. There are a few questions that we had, and not questions as in there are a few things that I shared. Maybe you want to take that up.
Yeah,
some
I have
people had
the
put certain questions, what they want to know from you. Maybe you can take that up first if you want to pick up few.
Yeah, so I will go through in the order that it has been mentioned here. So I'll start with the first one. It's from Sushant Sawant: how to maintain heart rate during running. I think if you are a new runner, then I wouldn't get into heart rate at this stage. But maintaining heart rate during running just requires practice. But to begin with, I would just say not to get bogged down too much by heart rate and maintaining a steady heart rate. Just listen to your body and go by your feel. But if you are really interested in doing it, you would need a watch, and then you need to, start with a pace which like a easy pace and see what heart rate you get into, and just maintain that. It's just a matter of habit, that you do it with a focused approach, and then eventually it just becomes second normal. You just run with a normal pace. So just what I would do it, you just start and see what your normal pace is, and just maintain that. um, it- Maintaining heart rate, it just comes by practice. There is no rule to it. Can you give diet or supplement information? I don't think I'm qualified to do that. So I'm sure we have some, diet advisory or sessions we have had before. So I'm sure we'll have it in this KDR Rise duration as well. We'll have one session on diet. Yes, Nikhil, maybe, because there are quite a few questions around diet.
Yes,
So,
yes. So we are planning to do a diet session maybe after Diwali. So
yeah,
I'm sure people are going to break their diet during Diwali time, but we definitely
sure,
going to have some diet session in November. Yes.
sure. The next question is from Bharat Shetty. Minimum warm up and cool down routine for 5 or 10K runs. I wouldn't, the warm up or cool down routine wouldn't change based on the type of runs, but typically it should take you anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes. And if you follow the guideline that I have given, and if you also come and join our group runs or any of our events, then there will be somebody who will be taking you through a warm up, and then once the run is finished, there will be somebody taking you through the cool down stretches as well. So typically start from from the head, from the neck, and then work your way down all the way up to the feet and ankles and feet, and that should make sure you take care of all the both the warm up and the cool down. Warm up and cool down routine exercises. This is a question from Mohammed Ismail Sheikh, I think. Like I said, we will not be covering exercises in this session, but you can find, our group runs, we normally take you through the both warm up and cool down. And if you are unable to attend our group runs, then if you can check out on YouTube. You'll see several videos on warm up and cool down stretches. So that's as far as the exercises are concerned. The next one is from Anant Modak. He has asked how to overcome fatigue after exercise or activity. Overcoming fatigue will be a gradual process. If you have just taken up running or exercise, what you need to remember is you gradually increase the load. And by that, I mean, like, for example, if you are thinking of taking up running, then you start with walking. Walking, if you have never done it, if you are like been leading a sedentary lifestyle, then you start with, I don't know what's best for you, 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of walking, and then 30 minutes of walking. Build it over time. In a week, just keep the workload the same. If you have just started from being a sedentary lifestyle person, then start with maybe 15 minutes of walk, and then so increasing your load gradually, that will help you to for your body to get acclimatized, to start to adapt to the increasing activity that you're going to take up. So typically just do a 10% increase in your load week after week, not more. Then rest. Cannot stress enough on how much rest is important. Hydration, your diet intake. Typically they say, like I said, I'm not a qualified dietitian or somebody who can give advice, but we have been taught that on your recovery after your exercise, your typical carbohydrate to protein ratio should be 3:1. So again, if you get in touch with some nutrition expert or dietitian, then they will be able to guide you. So that's how you will overcome fatigue. Stretching exercises we do before and after running are also applicable for cycling. Yes, typically this should help cycling as well, although I'm not a cycling expert. The next one is from Amit. If you walk for some time before and after running, will it help warming up and cooling down? Yeah, I mean, you can, walking will not help if you're actually running, but I would say start with a brisk walk. You can do spot jogging. Start with spot jog, then you can do butt kicks, where you are like kicking your butt with your heels. Then you do high knees, and then you go through, from the top of the body to the bottom. So that routine, what we have talked about, that will help. Ideal duration, there's no ideal duration, like I said, but anything between 10, 15, 20 minutes should be a good enough routine to warm up and also to cool down. What to eat pre and post run is a question from Nina Chavan. There is no formula for what to eat pre and post run. I have, if it's a timed run or if it's my daily run, I have a couple of bananas, little bit of milk or coffee sometimes helps. Post run, again, you need to find out what works for you. Post run, what is important is to have carbohydrates, because your run has exhausted your storage of carbohydrates, or the carbohydrate stores or bank in your body that has exhausted. So you need to replenish it. So you need carbohydrates for that, and protein is what you require for rebuilding, for repair of your muscles, and all the micro tears or the micro damages that are happening in your muscles. To repair that, you need protein. So again, I wouldn't recommend any typical diet because I'm not qualified. Vaibhav Shimpi asked, the day when I run early morning, I literally drain out by the end of the day. Do I need to follow any diet plan to maintain energy? Any tips on diet? I mean, immediately after your activity, I would say 3:1 carbohydrate to protein. Like I said, carbohydrates to replenish your carb store, and proteins for your rebuilding, repairing of your muscles. But a typical diet plan would be only sought from a dietitian or a nutritionist. I'm not qualified for that, so I won't be able to give you. I often feel mild pain or lower back, at lower back or towards left hip after run for half a day, then it goes away. Is it normal? Yeah. It is normal at the beginning, for the first few days, but if it goes away, then it is fine. But anything that lingers and you can't get rid of it, then you need to ask somebody or see someone, maybe a physio or somebody. Some of this can also be if you are not properly warming up or cooling down. So anything that is temporary and goes away is fine, but anything that lingers, you need to take advice. Gaurav Shah says, any techniques for increasing stamina? Like I said before, on overcoming fatigue, same thing. Take it slowly. Don't rush into getting, if you are a beginner to starting to run 5K or 10K, take it slow. Do your activities regularly. If you do it only on a weekend or things like that, this could, not help you to increase stamina. Rest well, hydrate well, sleep well. Cannot stress enough of how important that is. And dietitian, diet plan, inclusion, exclusion, again, I will not be able to recommend anything. Not qualified. Rakesh Rakshit asks, whenever I try to run regularly, develop pain just beneath both knees, but stops running, pain gradually moves out in few days. What may be the possible causes? I think I will not be able to comment just on that. One thing is, if you have not run, if you're a new beginner, then there will be soreness, there will be pain. But once you continue the activity for a few days, that should go away. But if it stays, if it happens every time, every day, even if you're doing it regularly, if you're warming up properly, if you're cooling down properly, you're following all that, but it's still there, then you need to see some physio. Benefits of warming up is what Deepali Wagmari asks. I think I have covered that. Like it helps you to increase your core temperature. It helps the body to redirect blood away from your digestive system or GI tract to your working muscles. It helps the blood vessels to expand so that it can help in the more blood flow that your body is going to ask for when you do start your run. Increases your the synovial fluid in your joints so that they are better lubricated, and also your sensory and motor neuron mechanism starts speeding up. So those are the advantages. Mr. Nandlal Patel says walking, running for heavyweight people. Yeah, I mean, this is extremely important that one, you start with walking for sure. Start with a time that is, that you can do easily, whether it's 10-15 minutes, don't care. But start with a very low time. Don't look at the mileage, and then gradually build up. And do not, I would say that if you are slightly on the higher side on the weight, then be very gradual, so you can let 1, 2, 3 weeks with a particular load and then increase the load by 10%. Do not increase your load suddenly or suddenly start running, because that will have multiple implications. Your joints, work on your strengthening of your muscles, strengthening of your leg muscles, so that they can take the impact. Otherwise, you might end up with problems. So take it very gradually and work on strength building. And once again, there is a diet question from Novino Fernandez. Like I said, I will not comment on diet because I'm not qualified to do so. But I'm sure, like Nikhil said, we will have a session going forward on diet, and that should help you to understand how you can take care of diet. So those are the questions I had from you, Nikhil.
Yes, Deepak, there are 3 fresh questions in the chat.
Yeah.
We can use those as the last questions for the day. Yeah. Are you able to see, or should I read it out for you?
Yeah, I have the first one here, which says, along with the question that I raised while registering, I have a general question, little ache about the ankle. How can it be eased out? I mean, typically, um, you I mean, warm up and stretching during cool down should help to you know make this go away. But if it lingers, then you need to see somebody. Sometimes what you call as rolling also helps. So you get a roller, what you call as a foam roller, and then you can roll on it. You roll your calves on it. So I mean, if you can get in touch, Amit, then I can tell you how you do it or what basically it is. But um, it looks more like warm up and cool down. If you do properly, then it should this should help to take care of this ankle pain. Then there is one from Deepali. I am a new runner. I've just started my activity 1st October, but now I am how to overcome this. So if you have just started, then this is very normal to have soreness. It also happens if you do something, even if you have been running, if we stop running for a long period and then start running again, then you will find that there is muscle pain or soreness. Gradually, when you carry on, it should go away. So you shouldn't have this problem that once you continue to do so. How to get a good running form? As I heard, good running posture will reduce injury. Arun. So a good running form is extremely important. So but what I have also seen and learned is that typically your body adapts, and unless you want to be competitive at a very high level, I wouldn't worry too much about the form unless you are doing something very wrong. And if you are doing that, then your body will let you know you should feel continuous pain or some discomfort or some signs telling you that your posture is not good. But a proper posture is you look straight, head straight, chest puffed out a bit, and a typical good running form is what they say is slightly bent forward, so that it is helping you to take the next stride. Typically, people tend to slouch and their shoulders drop inwards. That is not a good form. Make sure your shoulder is in line, in a straight line, and then moving your arms on both sides also helps with your running. So I experience headaches sometimes after running. There could be multiple reasons. Amod, maybe you have not eaten. Sometimes sleep deprivation causes headache. If you have stopped suddenly, sometimes after the run, that can cause headache. So there are multiple reasons. Or if you have done it on an empty stomach, so there could be multiple reasons. Just try to find out what you are not doing right from what we have talked about so far. Narayan Iyer asks, is it okay if one does running after gym of 45 minutes? Yeah, I mean, if it suits you, then you can. There is nothing wrong. Typically, we see that you do running at the beginning because it helps you to warm up, and then when you go to the gym, it helps you. But there's no rule which says that you can't run after doing a gym. So Sanjay Agrawal says, after running, I get a pain in groin region. What should be done? we need to understand more, Sanjay. This is a typical question for a physio or your doctor. See if you have any issues. I hope you are doing proper warm up and cool down and stretching. Um, if you are not, then you should. And if see if by doing that you don't get pain. But if you are following everything and still getting groin, then definitely see somebody. Dr. Manjusha is asking how much it is useful to do your vitamin D and B12 levels regularly. Yeah, I mean, it's these days it's I mean, all us runners, I mean, at least I do it every year. Um, and I try to make sure that I keep correcting my diet based on what I see on that. I see my doctor after I do the vitamin D and B12 levels. Because typically Indians, like you might know, doctor, more than I do, that there is a vitamin D deficiency. Like we don't get enough sunlight and our diets are not such that there is as much of vitamin D intake as is required by the body. So normally a lot of us, whoever I have talked to, who have done a vitamin D and B12 profile, I understand that they have been, I mean, at least I was deficient, so I had to take a shot, and then I had to take some supplement, and then I'm making sure that I, incorporate in my diet, and also, get some sun exposure, although it's not enough. I'm a beginner and I have been running for a week now. I have some pain in one of my knees. Will it get better with proper warm up? It should, yes. So pain in knees, it should get better with proper warm up and cool down. And also do some strengthening of your calf and quads. So do some exercise for your legs. You can find many, like sit-ups are one, what we call baitaks. So you can do that for your legs, so that your muscles both above and below your knees get strengthened, both your calves and shin muscles and your quads and your glutes get strengthened, so that it plays the role that it should, and not let all the impact onto your knees. So proper warm up and cool down, and also incorporate strengthening in your routine, please. So those are all the questions I had in the chat box as well. If there is any more question, then you can ask. We have 4 minutes left, I guess. So
yeah, Deepak, thanks. All those questions. I think those questions have covered most of the doubts of everybody. Still, if there is anybody who wants to maybe come on the voice, on the audio, and ask a question, please raise your hand or please unmute yourself and ask a question to Deepak.
Nikhil, I just got a question from Arun. Is barefoot running beneficial? Yes. So if you go by how we are built, Arun, a lot of our sensory system, or a lot of it is on our foot, and barefoot running helps because our foot are the first point of contact with wherever you're walking or running. So it helps develop your sensory and motor system. It helps. You must have seen a lot of our what they call as acupressure points and things like that are around the foot. So it does help, but again, it's something that needs to be started and very slowly, very gradually. So if you are thinking of doing it, I would say first invest in some minimal footwear, there are a lot of minimal footwear, which is not as much as a barrier like your running shoes between your feet and the ground. So it is minimal cover, which will protect your foot, but still give you that feel. And then see how you feel. And then from there on, you may go complete barefoot, but give it ample amount of time, 3-6 months before you go from running with shoes to complete barefoot. It helps. But again, you need to find out what's in it for you. I mean, I just wouldn't say just because it helps, just go running barefoot, because there are a lot of things that come with it. Our roads sadly are not meant for barefoot running.
Maybe there is one more question from Nisha. Any specific medical checkups to be done before starting running?
Specific medical checkups. I mean, you can see your doctor and try to find out if there is a reason why you shouldn't be running, your family doctor. But I mean, barring that, there is no specific, unless you have a condition, then you should see your doctor. So if you have any condition, if you have any ailment, then you need to definitely see your doctor before you start running. But if you don't have any conditions and you just want to start running, then just as a precautionary measure, you can go and see your doctor and say, hey, this is what I have never done and I would like to start. Is there a reason you see why I shouldn't be doing it? So other than that, there is nothing specific. And of course, you start very gradually. Like I said, from walk to walk jog to jog walk to jog long durations and little walk to jog without stopping and then running. So
okay, Deepak, I think we take that as the last question. Okay, that's thanks for Nisha. So we take that as the last question of the day. And if there are any more questions, please feel free to post it on our KDR Rise group, or you can always write to kdrrunners@gmail.com. If you need coordinates of Mr. Deepak, we can share with you with if you send us an email to us, or Deepak, you want to share now, you can please feel free, or maybe we can take it only on the request.
yeah, I mean, I can put it down. You can send me a message.
Yeah, if you want to put on the chat right now,
Yeah.
number, then people can, anybody wants to get in touch with you.
Sorry, this went as a direct message. I'll do it again. Yeah, so that's my phone number. If you want to send me a message.
Okay.
I won't promise I'll reply immediately, but I'll definitely get back to you.
Okay, that's wonderful. So thank you everyone, and many thanks Deepak for spending out your valuable time. I was personally also learned a lot of things out of this session, and I'm sure also all the people who have joined here have got a good wise information from you. So thank you everyone for joining, and thank you Deepak once again.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Nikhil, and I'm sure, I hope that it was helpful. If you do have questions, do get to me. I'll try as much as I can. Thanks once again.
Thank you.
So Nikhil, I just stop recording here.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
Bye.